Welcome to episode 1 of season 3. Let's make it a year of finding peace, a year of healing relationships, a year of learning to trust God more with our loved ones who have left the religion we love. Peace is possible. Thank you for listening and especially for sharing this podcast with others. This helps make a meaningful difference in the world. I was on my way back from Tooele, where I had gone for the day to spend time with a friend working on a project together. Dusk was just coming on as I got in my car to make the hour-and-a-half drive home. I was looking forward to watching the sun go down and listening to some music as I drove. About 20 to 25 minutes into my drive, and just as it was getting dark, an alarm sounded on my car. It sounded like the alarm I get when I haven't put my seatbelt on, but my seatbelt was on. I glanced down and saw a red warning light I'd never seen before. My stomach dropped. I called my husband Kim, who was mountain biking with our son. No answer. I called again. Still nothing. Should I keep driving? Pull over? I didn't know what to do. I suddenly felt very alone on that mostly deserted road. Our daughter and our son-in-law live about 40 minutes away from where I was, so I called my son-in-law. I tried to describe the light that was on, and I finally sent him a picture of it. Yes, while I was driving, not the smartest, I know. As soon as he saw the picture, he told me to pull off the road immediately. My engine was overheating and would be ruined if I kept going. So I pulled off. Suddenly, this wasn't a pleasant drive home anymore. I was sitting on the side of a somewhat deserted road in the middle of nowhere, no houses, no exits, no services, nothing for miles. And it was nearly dark. And it was cold and windy. Suddenly, this became a stressful and scary experience. I grabbed my coat and put it on. My son-in-law said they would come and get me. A few minutes later, I found out that my daughter was on her way to pick me up and take me to their house, more than an hour round trip for her. I felt bad, but I was so grateful for the rescue. As I sat on the side of the road and waited, I tried my husband several more times. Finally, I got him and my son on the phone. My husband Kim knew exactly what to do. He said my car needed water. He instructed me on putting up the hood, where the radiator cap was, which I was able to remove now that the car had been sitting for a bit and was somewhat cooled down. He said that if we had some water, we wouldn't have to leave the car on the side of the road overnight. We could probably get it to at least my daughter's house. Problem was, my daughter was already halfway there to pick me up, and no, she didn't have any water with her. And all that I had was a mostly empty, refillable water bottle. Then I remembered. In my trunk, I had an emergency bin in which I carried a blanket, some bandages, and a flashlight. But last year, someone had left a full sealed gallon of water at our house. I had contemplated dumping it out and throwing the container away because I didn't want to store it. But in the end, I had decided to stick it in my emergency bin in my trunk. I opened my trunk and went to get it. That's when I discovered that I also had two regular-sized disposable water bottles in there as well. Kim said I would likely need 2 gallons, but we could try with what I had and see what happened. Because it was fully dark now, I tried to hold my phone flashlight in one hand while also talking to Kim on the phone and carefully pour the gallon jug of water into the small radiator opening without spilling it while I waited for my daughter. Kim said we would need every drop. It was tricky. Partway through the pouring, my daughter arrived and she took over holding the flashlight while I finished pouring the water in. The gallon jug didn't fill it to the top. So we took one of the smaller water bottles and poured it in. That filled it just about up. Kim then instructed us to get in the car and start it, which we did. We were so grateful to get out of the cold and wind and sit in that car for a minute. Then he instructed us to turn the engine off and top the water off again, which we did. There was one small water bottle left. Kim said, "Drive the car a mile, then stop and top the water off again." My daughter followed me in her car and we drove a mile. Then we stopped, put the hood up again, took the radiator cap off again, and poured the last water bottle in. It took nearly the whole thing, but it filled it up with maybe a fourth of a cup of water left in that water bottle. It felt like a miracle. Kim then instructed me to drive and to watch the temperature gauge. If it got too high, I would need to pull off and leave my car there and ride home with my daughter. She followed me in the car. As we drove the nearly 30 minutes to her exit, my car held steady. The temperature fluctuated some, but stayed within normal range. By the time we got to her exit, I decided it was safe for me to keep going the more than 40 minutes left to get home. I felt comfort that I would make it, and I did. A few weeks ago, I went to church just as I do every Sunday. I had in mind an idea for a podcast that I'd kind of been mulling over. I had a couple of stories, but I didn't have all the material I needed to actually make it into an episode yet. As I was sitting in sacrament meeting, one of the speakers got up and shared a story that, as she shared, I knew would be a perfect fit for the episode I was trying to put together. Then one of the stake presidency members who was visiting got up at the very end and just shared a few quick thoughts. Again, what he said was a perfect fit for the episode I was trying to put together. Then we had the closing song, another perfect fit. I was amazed. I was writing notes, so happy that God was giving me some information that I could use in my next episode. Then I went off to Young Women's. I'm serving in Young Women's right now, and I went off to class. The teacher who was teaching that day told a story about Joseph Smith. Again, another perfect fit for my episode. Then she taught a formula to the class, another perfect fit for my episode. What was going on here? I left church that day with everything I needed to create that episode. That has never happened before. I remember thinking, wow, God is so good to me. The next day was Monday, and as I was working on that episode, I received an email. Someone from BYU Online High School was reaching out to me to see if I could teach a 45-minute devotional for them in a week and a half. At the time, I was already working on 2 speaking opportunities that were going to be within the same 7-day period. I was already teaching something at a retreat that I was preparing for that was going to take about an hour. And then I had been asked to speak at a Priesthood Relief Society dinner as their guest speaker for another 45 minutes. I was already working on these things. And so when this opportunity came in to speak at this BYU Online High School, of course I said yes. But at the same time, I was wondering how I would prepare another new 45-minute devotional in addition to the podcast and the 2 other speaking opportunities. As I sat down to work on this new opportunity, I wasn't even sure what to teach. I teach a lot on healing relationships and personal growth. And as I thumbed through the different content I had, nothing jumped out at me. And the things I was teaching at the other 2 events were not good fits. I got down on my knees and I prayed. And as I prayed, I knew immediately what God wanted to share. It was the same thing I was teaching in the podcast episode. God knew ahead of time that I was going to need that material that week. And He gave it to me before I knew I needed it. But He knew, and He knew I wasn't going to have time to create yet another presentation. And He helped me. He gave me extra help. Back to the car story. As I was leaving to go to my friends in Tooele, I grabbed my purse, I grabbed my water bottle, I grabbed my lunch, and I started to grab my coat. And then I thought, it's 60 something degrees outside. I don't need a coat. And so I closed the coat closet and I started to walk away. And as I did, I had a second thought like, oh, it just never hurts to be overprepared. And so I went back to the coat closet and grabbed my coat. God knew I was going to need that coat on that cold and windy, dark night. But I didn't know. The water that was in my trunk had been left at our house a year before. And as I picked it up to maybe dump it and throw it away, I just had this thought like, oh, we could put that in the trunk. I never know. I might need it in an emergency sometime. I certainly wasn't thinking about filling up my radiator. If anything, I was thinking more like, oh, we might get stranded when it's hot in the middle of the summer and be thirsty. But God knew I was going to need that water a year before I needed it. I am not special, or it would be more accurate to say, we are all special. He is aware of each of us on such a detailed basis. He knows what we need before we do, and He helps us. God is as aware of you as He is of me. He is as aware of every single person on this planet as He is of you and me, regardless of whether they are aware of Him or not, regardless of whether they are serving Him or not, regardless of if they even believe in Him or are trying to be good or not. God is aware of each of us, and He is helping each of us. But Cherie, you may be asking, what about my loved one who's not keeping the commandments, who's being rebellious, who's not being obedient, and doesn't even like God? I wish God was there helping them, but I don't think He is. Doesn't He only help the obedient? That, my friend, is a thinking error. It's right up there with those old religious beliefs that if you're not baptized before you die, you can't go to heaven. It's a thinking error. God is not just helping the obedient. God is there for all of us, helping everyone, everywhere, all the time, sending angels to help us, sending mortals to help us. I'd like to share with you a few scriptures, and I will leave the references for these in the show notes. From John, for God sent not His Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through Him might be saved. I will not leave you comfortless. I will come to you. I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. Yet will I not forget thee. Behold, I have graven thee upon the palms of my hands. Remember, the worth of souls is great in the sight of God. Fear not, little children, ye are mine. I will lead you along. I'd also like to share a few quotes from some of our latter-day leaders. Thomas S. Monson said, God's love is there for you whether or not you feel you deserve love. It is simply always there. Dieter F. Uchtdorf said, He loves you today and always. He knows everything about you and still loves you. He also said, God will never desert us. He never has, and He never will. Del G. Renlund said, God's love is infinite and it is perfect. He loves all His children, no matter their circumstances. Joseph B. Wirthlin said, Heavenly Father's always there for us. He never gives up on us. Dieter F. Uchtdorf again, you are not forgotten. No matter how dark your days may seem, the Lord is there. Richard G. Scott said, Our Father in heaven's love is constant. He is there even when we feel unworthy. Gordon B. Hinckley said, Never forget, you are a child of God. He will not forsake you. I seem to really like Dieter F. Uchtdorf today because the last quote I want to share from him is, though we are imperfect, He loves us perfectly. These quotes, these scriptures give me great comfort. I know a sweet and beautiful girl who believes in God, but doesn't go to church and isn't necessarily obedient in the ways that you and I might think of. But God works in her life. He works in her and through her. She gets thoughts of things to say to people to help them, and she says them. It ends up being what they need to hear. She gets ideas of things to do, and she does them. It helps others. It helps her family. It helps her. I see God working in her life and through her all the time. God does not withhold His love from anyone, and He will help everyone as much as He can in the ways that He can, allowing them their agency. Are there blessings for being obedient? For being good? Absolutely there are. The scriptures are abundant with them, and we are entitled to those blessings. Here's a few examples. Alma 34, if you will repent and harden not your heart, immediately shall the great plan of redemption be brought about unto you. Alma 36, Whosoever shall put their trust in God shall be supported in their trials and their troubles and their afflictions. Helaman 12. The Lord is merciful unto all who will in sincerity of their hearts call upon his holy name. Moroni 7. If you will have faith in me, ye shall have power to do whatsoever thing is expedient in me. Doctrine Covenants 46:9. The Lord taught that spiritual gifts are given to those who love me and keep all my commandments and who seeketh so to do. There are absolutely blessings for obedience. But God is not an all or nothing God. It does not mean that there are no blessings for those who are not on his covenant path. I invite you to look for the ways that God is acting in your life, for you and through you. He loves you. You are his little child. Your loved one who isn't going to church is his little child. Just as any loving parent would do, he guides, directs, and blesses us. Of this, there is no doubt. This week, I want to give you a special invitation. I invite you to open up a new notebook on your phone or get a piece of paper and stick it in your pocket, and then watch for the ways that God is acting in your life on your behalf and on behalf of the people you care about. Each time you see something, anything that could have God's hand in it, put it in your notebook or on your piece of paper. Most of the things that you're going to see are going to be little things that are easy to miss if you're not watching. Like the song that touched my heart in church that added a perfect message to my episode. Or like the bottle of water in my trunk that was just enough to get me home. Or like a positive message you received from a friend at the very moment you're feeling down. Or like a good interaction with a loved one with whom you've had a strained relationship. Or like an idea of something loving to text someone you care about to make their day a little better. It's 1,000 little ways that God is showing you that he is there, he's aware, and that he cares about you. And he cares about those you love. It's like the near-miss car accident that doesn't happen, or the accident that does happen that could have been so much worse. It's like that item that you almost forgot at the grocery store that pops into your brain right before you walk to the checkout stand. Or it's that overcrowded schedule that you don't know how you're going to get through your day, but it suddenly opens up. Or the smile from the stranger that warms your heart on a hard day. Or the coat that you happen to grab for no reason when you know you're not going to need it. And he cares about each one of us exactly that much. I invite you to keep your eyes open this week and your pen or your fingers at the ready to record it. You see what you're looking for. At the end of the week, look back over all you've noticed. I think you may be surprised. I think you may see that God has his hand in your life more than you thought. And then please realize that God has his hand in the life of your loved ones' lives as well, just as much. God is no respecter of persons. He loves us all, good and bad, happy and sad, obedient and disobedient, and he is there. He is not going anywhere. He's not like us. He loves us even when we reject him, even when we're rebellious and mean toward him. It does not deter him. As Patrick Kieran said, he is in relentless pursuit of you, of all of us. On this you may depend. I look forward to hearing what you learn this week. Please join me again next time for another episode of Just Love Them.